Homeless Girl and the Kind Billionaire. Chapter 1. Can I sit here? I'm not asking for your steak, sir. I just want to sit. The girl's voice sliced through the uptight air of Magnolia's fanciest steakhouse. Marcus Wright froze mid-bite, fork hanging like he'd forgotten how food worked. Around him, rich folks stopped chewing, wine glasses froze halfway to lips. She stood barefoot on polished marble, dress ripped at the hem, hair looking like it fought a losing battle with the wind. Couldn't have been older than 8. Brown eyes big as moons, wide and unblinking. Please, she said again, her voice soft but steady. Somebody call security, a man at the next table muttered, not even bothering to whisper. Marcus leaned back, his dark eyes scanning the room. He saw pearl necklaces clutched tighter, fingers stabbing phones. The Mercer grill wasn't made for surprises, and this little girl just flipped their perfect little world upside down. "What's your name, baby girl?" Marcus asked, voice calm but carrying weight. "Imani," she said. "All right, Imani, pull up a chair." Gasps shot across the room like popcorn. A waiter dropped a knife. The hostess covered her mouth. "You're kidding, right?" someone said. Marcus raised a brow. "Do I look like I'm kidding?" Imani hesitated, eyes darting toward the door like she expected somebody to drag her out. Then she slid into the chair, her skinny hands clutching the edge of the table like it might vanish. A young guy in a corner booth lifted his phone, whispering, "This about to blow up." "Y'all relax," Marcus said to nobody in particular. "The world ain't gonna end because a kid sat down." "Sir, this is highly inappropriate," the hostess said, trying to sound brave. "She's with me," Marcus replied without looking at her. Imani's little stomach growled loud enough for the next table to hear. Her cheeks flushed. Marcus pretended not to notice, waving over the waiter. "Bring her the biggest burger you got. Add fries, extra ketchup, and bring her a Coke, too. Big one." The waiter blinked like he'd been asked to serve dinner on the moon. Yes, sir?" Imani looked at Marcus, eyes cautious. "You're not mad?" "Nah," Marcus said, cutting into his ribeye. "Why would I be mad? I ain't the one hungry." Her lips curled into a small, unsure smile. Across the room, a woman whispered to her husband, "He's doing this for attention." Marcus heard her but didn't flinch. He was too busy watching Imani stare at the breadbasket like it was forbidden treasure. "Go ahead, take some," he said. She reached out, careful like her hand might get slapped. She tore off a small piece, nibbling at it. "This your first time in a place like this?" Marcus asked. "First time in anywhere like this," she said softly. The burger came out minutes later, a towering thing dripping with cheese and sauce. Imani's eyes went round. "That's for me?" "Sure is, dig in." She took a bite so small it wouldn't have satisfied a bird. Marcus chuckled. "Girl, you better eat before it grows legs and runs away." Imani giggled, a quiet sound, but it loosened something tight in Marcus's chest. "Where you from?" he asked. "Nowhere." "Everybody from somewhere." "Used to be from Southside. Mama passed last year, then Daddy. Been under the bridge on 5th Street since." Marcus set his fork down. For a second, all the business deals, the headlines, the stock prices felt stupid. "You out there alone?" Imani nodded, chewing slowly. "Not anymore," Marcus said. Phones flashed from the corner. More whispers. A man hissed, "This place used to have standards." Marcus ignored them all, his eyes still on Imani. She looked too small for this big, cold world. "You safe now," he said quietly. You don't even know me, she said. Don't have to, I know enough. She took another bite, this one bigger. For the first time in a long time, Marcus felt like he was right where he was supposed to be. Chapter 2. That's real food? The burger didn't stand a chance. Imani took one cautious bite, then another, and before Marcus knew it, she was demolishing it like a pro. Fries disappeared by the handful. The way she held that burger, 2 hands, elbows out like she was guarding treasure, made Marcus want to laugh and cry at the same time. Slow down, little one, he said, grinning. Ain't nobody here gonna snatch it from you. She paused, cheeks puffed like a chipmunk, and swallowed hard. Sorry, I just never had food like this before. That's real beef, not no dollar menu mystery meat, Marcus teased. Enjoy it, you deserve it. Imani's eyes flicked up, unsure. Why you being nice to me? People don't just do that. Marcus leaned back, folding his arms. Guess I'm not people, huh? She cracked the tiniest smile, one that barely made it past her tired eyes. Around them, the room buzzed with disapproval. Forks clinked louder than normal. A couple stormed out, muttering about standards. Marcus didn't flinch. The waiter returned, nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Sir, dessert? Bring her your best, Marcus said, and don't you skimp on the whipped cream. Yes, sir. Imani's hands were still shaking as she reached for another fry. You rich or something? She asked. Marcus smirked. What gave it away? My suit or the fact I ordered dessert without checking the price? She giggled softly, covering her mouth. You funny. Nah, I'm just old and tired, but I still got jokes. The dessert came out minutes later, a slice of chocolate cake so rich it looked like it had its own bank account. Imani's jaw dropped. I get to eat all that? Unless you want to share, Marcus teased. She shook her head fast. Nope, he laughed. Didn't think so. As she dug in, Marcus caught himself staring. Not at the cake, not at the crowd, but at her. This little girl, worn down by life but still holding on to some scrap of dignity. She didn't beg. She didn't whine. She just ate, slow and careful, like the meal might disappear if she moved too fast. So where you stayin' these days? He asked. Under the bridge, 5th Street. His smile faded. By yourself? She nodded. Since Mama passed, Daddy too. It's not so bad, I got my corner. Your corner? Yeah. Nobody bothers me if I stay quiet. Marcus felt his stomach turn. He'd been in boardrooms with billionaires, rubbed shoulders with mayors and movie stars. But this? Listening to an 8-year-old talk about survival like it was just normal? This hit different. He reached for his glass of water but didn't drink. You know you can't go back there, right? Imani froze mid-bite. Why not? Because bridges are for cars, not kids. You're staying with me tonight. Her eyes widened. You serious? Serious as a heart attack. You need a real bed, not concrete. But I don't want to be a bother. Bother? Girl, you're saving me from another lonely dinner. You're doing me a favor. Imani blinked at him, unsure whether to believe it. She didn't say another word, just kept eating, her shoulders relaxing little by little like she was finally letting herself breathe. Marcus checked his phone. Missed calls, PR team, board members, even his sister. He flipped it face down. Whatever storm was brewing out there could wait. Right now, it was just him and Imani, and for some reason he couldn't explain that felt more important than any deal he'd ever closed. Chapter 3. Headlines and Heartbeats. The next morning, Marcus's phone went off like a smoke alarm, buzzing, beeping, ding after ding. He groaned, rolling over in bed and squinting at the screen, notifications stacked higher than pancakes at Waffle House. Billionaire feeds homeless girl at Mercer Grill. Hero or just playing PR games? Twitter was eating him alive. Some folks called him a saint, others called him fake. Memes already showed his face photoshopped next to Mother Teresa's. One even had him holding a burger like it was the 10 Commandments. He sighed and tossed the phone on the nightstand. Down the hall, Imani's soft laugh carried through the penthouse. Marcus rubbed his face and got up. He found her in the kitchen, sitting on a bar stool way too big for her, swinging her skinny legs like a metronome. She was eating cereal out of a mixing bowl. "You know there's smaller bowls, right?" he said, trying not to smile. "This was the first one I found," she replied, spoon halfway to her mouth. "Plus, it's like more fun." He chuckled and opened the fridge. "You slept okay?" "Best sleep ever," she said. "That bed felt like clouds. Real clouds, not the lumpy ones." Marcus nodded, pouring himself coffee. "You sure you're not just saying that 'cause you're polite?" She shook her head. "Nope. Ain't nobody polite under a bridge." His chest tightened. She said it so matter-of-factly, like sleeping under a bridge was just part of life. "You hungry for real food or just cereal?" "Real food," she said quickly. Then her face shifted. "Wait, is it okay? I don't want to cost you too much." Marcus leaned on the counter. "Girl, I own half of downtown Atlanta. You think eggs and bacon gonna break me?" She giggled again, her tiny shoulders relaxing. But Marcus's phone buzzed again. Kara, his PR chief. Text after text. "Marcus, we need a statement now. Headlines are split. Investors are panicking. Marcus, are you seeing this? Call me." He flipped the phone over without answering. Imani's eyes followed the move. "You in trouble 'cause of me?" Marcus looked at her. "Nah, they just mad I'm acting human." She pushed her cereal aside. "You don't gotta keep me here if it's making things bad." He set his coffee down and crouched to her level. "Listen, Imani, you're not making things bad. They were bad already. I'm just the one who finally noticed." Her eyes filled with something unreadable. Hope? Fear? Maybe both. "You really mean that?" she whispered. "Yeah, I really do." A knock hit the door. 3 sharp raps. Marcus stood, shoulders stiffening. He checked the peephole. 2 men in suits. One held up a badge, Department of Child Services. "Stay here," Marcus told Imani. She nodded, clutching her cereal spoon like a weapon. He opened the door. "Mr. Wright?" "Depends who's asking." "Agent Riley, we received a call. Concerns about a minor in your care." Marcus crossed his arms. "Concerns? The only concern here is why a kid had to sleep under a bridge before I stepped in. Sir, we're not here to argue. We're here to make sure she's safe. She's safer here than anywhere else in this city, trust me." Riley glanced past Marcus, spotting Imani peeking from behind the kitchen island. "We'll need to speak with her." Marcus didn't like it. His gut screamed no, but he stepped aside anyway. "Fine, but don't you dare scare her." Riley nodded and walked in, his partner trailing. Imani stood frozen, spoon still in hand. "Hi, sweetheart, I'm Agent Riley. Can I ask you a few questions?" Imani's eyes darted to Marcus. He nodded gently. "It's okay, Imani, just be honest." She took a deep breath. "Okay." Riley smiled faintly. "Do you feel safe here?" "Yes." Has Mr. Wright hurt you or made you feel uncomfortable? Imani's brow furrowed. He gave me pancakes. Marcus nearly laughed but held it in. Riley kept going. Would you like to stay here or go back to where you were before? Imani hugged herself. I don't want to go back under the bridge. It's cold and scary. Here feel warm. Riley studied her for a long moment, then glanced at Marcus. We'll need to follow up. Paperwork, interviews, home inspections. This isn't over. Didn't expect it to be, Marcus said. As the agents left, Marcus saw Imani trembling slightly. He knelt beside her. You good? I'm scared they'll take me away. They won't, he said firmly. Not if I got anything to say about it. You promise? He hesitated, then nodded. I promise. Outside, the agent's car idled. Inside, Marcus felt the weight of every headline, every phone call, every judgmental stare from the night before. But none of it mattered more than the scared little girl clutching his sleeve like he was her whole world. Chapter 4. Bridges and Battles. Marcus never thought his penthouse would feel like a war zone, but that's exactly what it became. Outside, cameras flashed like lightning every time he opened the blinds. Reporters huddled on the sidewalk, shouting questions that dripped with judgment. Inside, his phone wouldn't quit buzzing with calls from board members, lawyers, and his PR team all screaming about damage control. But none of that compared to the quiet sound of little feet padding across the hardwood floors. Imani had claimed a corner of his living room, building a fortress out of throw pillows and blankets. She sat there cross-legged, drawing on scraps of paper with a pack of markers Rosa, his old friend from the youth shelter, had dropped off. Every picture showed the same thing, a stick-figure man with glasses holding hands with a small girl. Above one of the drawings, in crooked letters, she had written, "My safe place." Marcus stared at it longer than he meant to. He wasn't the emotional type, but something about those words hit different. He sat on the edge of the couch, scrolling through the endless headlines. Billionaire's new charity stunt? Is Wright using a homeless child to fix his image? Investors demand answers. Marcus dropped the phone on the coffee table and rubbed his face. None of these people knew him. They didn't know what it felt like to sit alone in a $1 million apartment night after night, wondering if all that money actually meant anything. He heard the elevator ding and stiffened. Rosa's voice called out, full of her usual fire. Marcus Wright. You better not be ignoring my texts. He let out a tired laugh. Rosa strolled in like she owned the place, carrying grocery bags. She set them down and gave Marcus the kind of look only a black woman in her 50s could pull off. You look tired, baby boy. I feel tired, Marcus said. Rosa glanced at Imani and her pillow fort. She's settling in. Yeah, like she's been here her whole life. Rosa crossed her arms. And you? You settling in too? Marcus didn't answer right away. He wasn't sure how. I keep thinking about her out there, he said finally. 8 years old, no bed, no heat, and the system didn't even notice. Rosa shook her head. The system don't notice a lot of things, but you did. He ran a hand over his face. They're saying I can't keep her, that I'm not fit. Of course they are. You're a single man, no parenting record, and your name's all over the news. But none of that means you ain't fit to love her. Marcus looked toward the pillow fort. Imani had fallen asleep mid-drawing, markers still in her tiny hands. Rosa, what if they take her? Rosa placed a hand on his shoulder. Then you fight, like hell. That girl needs you. He nodded slowly. Later that night, Marcus found himself standing by Imani's door watching her sleep. Her small frame barely made a dent in the massive bed, but her face looked peaceful in a way it probably hadn't in months. Marcus whispered to himself, "Ain't no way I'm letting them take you back to that bridge." He didn't hear his phone buzzing again on the kitchen counter. Kara's name lit up the screen. Her voicemail would say the same thing as all the others. The board was furious. Shareholders were restless. His reputation was tanking fast. But Marcus didn't care. He had bridges to burn and battles to fight. And for once in his life, it wasn't about profit or power. It was about a little girl with big brown eyes who finally felt safe. Chapter 5. No more bridges. It rained hard the morning Marcus walked into the courthouse, the kind of Georgia rain that felt heavy like judgment soaking him before he even reached the steps. Reporters swarmed outside, shouting his name like he was on trial for a crime he didn't commit. Maybe in their minds he was. Billionaire takes in homeless girl, hero or headline. Inside it was colder. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Marcus sat at a long wooden table, hands clasped tight. Across from him sat two caseworkers with faces carved from stone. They flipped through papers like his whole life could fit in a folder. "Mr. Wright," one of them began, "you understand the concerns. You're a single man, no children of your own, high-profile lifestyle, and there's media attention." Marcus stayed calm, though his jaw tightened. "I understand all that, but none of that changes the fact that Imani deserves better than sleeping under a bridge." The other caseworker spoke without looking up. "Are you prepared for what this means? Parenting isn't charity work. It's a lifetime commitment." "I'm prepared," Marcus said. "More than I've ever been for anything in my life." At the end of the table, Imani sat swinging her legs, holding her little cloth napkin like it was a lucky charm. She didn't say much. But when one of the workers asked if she wanted to stay with Marcus, her voice was small but clear. "He's my safe place." That cracked something open in the room. The judge glanced at the file, then at Marcus. "This isn't typical, but nothing about this case is. We'll grant temporary custody while we complete a full review. Mr. Wright, you're responsible for her care and well-being." Marcus let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He nodded, keeping his face steady even as his chest felt like it might cave in. Imani didn't smile until they were back in the car. She looked up at him, eyes shining. "Does this mean I get to stay?" "For now, yeah," Marcus said. "But we're gonna make for now turn into forever." She nodded and went back to staring out the window at the wet streets. Back at the penthouse, Rosa was waiting with grocery bags and her usual no-nonsense energy. She clapped her hands when she saw them. "Look at y'all, like a real little family." Imani ran to her pillow fort, but this time it wasn't to hide. She pulled out a new drawing and handed it to Marcus. It showed a house with a big sun overhead. Two stick figures stood holding hands, one tall, one small. Above it, in crooked letters, she'd written "No more bridges." Marcus stared at the picture longer than he should have. That night, he tucked Imani into her new bed. The city lights glowed outside the window like a quiet promise. "You ever think about what's next?" she asked sleepily. "All the time," Marcus said, "but for now I'm thinking about pancakes tomorrow. You want chocolate chips or blueberries?" "Both," she mumbled, already half asleep. He smiled. "Both it is." When she drifted off, Marcus sat by the window, staring out at Atlanta's skyline. His phone buzzed on the counter, no doubt another call about investors or headlines. He didn't move to answer it, because in that moment none of it mattered. Not the business, not the noise, just the quiet weight of responsibility and the strange, unexpected joy of knowing he wasn't alone anymore. For the first time in years, Marcus felt like a man who had built something real. Not a company, not an empire, but a home. The moral was simple, the kind your grandma might have whispered over cornbread. A full belly saves a day, but a full heart saves a lifetime.